The Bureau of Meteorology is facing fresh questions over its heavily criticised website overhaul. The agency's new chief appeared in Canberra at Senate estimates yesterday, defending the $96 million price tag. That's what it's blown out by. Many users argue the updated site is harder to use and fails to provide information clearly.
It's been categorised in the press as being a blowout from $4 million, which was the cost of the design component only, to $96 million. That's not the case.
But so are you suggesting that this is value for money?
The website itself and the front end has not met all user need. I think it's reasonable for the Australian public to ask us what's going on, right? But what I would say is that categorising it just as a website development that cost $96 million is incorrect. It's actually a whole technology stack.
To ask, because it's our money. The Bureau confirmed the broader technology upgrade will total about $800 million, aimed at strengthening its systems against cyber threats. This feels like a pretty good place to start with the Nationals leader, David Littleproud. So feels like this has been a cluster of words to that effect, David. What's your response to that response?
Well, we are generous. I mean, I think the Bureau is a broken institution, and I think they'd already lost a lot of Australians' confidence, particularly in regional Australia. The last couple of years, their forecasts have been abysmal. I mean, if you think back last year, they said we were going into a catastrophic El Nino event. Farmers took action, lightened off herds and crashed the market. And lo and behold, it didn't stop raining, and then they couldn't afford to get back into the market. We've had cyclones in North Queensland where they haven't even been able to predict the rain that came in behind it, the weather front that came in behind a cyclone, leaving flash flooding. And then this fiasco. I mean, most farmers won't use the Bureau for what their forecasts are. They actually use foreign sites, but the one part of that website,
foreign sites.
They use foreign sites because they're more accurate than our own Bureau of Meteorology. And then this was the one function on their website that many Australians, not just in regional areas but everywhere, use, but particularly for in remote and regional areas where you could put in the coordinates of your property. You got a pretty good idea what weather front was coming through. This is a tool that in the hour of your need, you actually know what's coming, as well as river height, so that you can make informed decisions about moving stock, pulling pumps out of rivers, so they're in higher ground. And to change it. And I mean, any good governance of any corporation would have gone and asked and tested this with the user and said, what are the functions and features that work, what don't work, what can be added, what should be kept.
So this overhaul, it's started under your former government, right, the Morrison government. So do you defend those costs? Because that's hundreds of millions of dollars. It seems excessive.
Well, it is. And this is the thing, is that I think cybersecurity I have no issues with in terms of us investing in making sure we protect not just the Bureau, but all government sites. You need to build that trust in these institutions. But when you get into the functionality and what this Bureau has gone into, there isn't value for money for the Australian taxpayer. And I think there are genuine conversations that need to be had with the BOM, and I get that it's all care and no responsibility because there's a new CEO. But there were people throughout that chain of hierarchy that would have been making decisions. The spending of that money, while an initial cut of money is always put out there, the management and oversight of that is of the government of the day. And you need to make sure that you're getting value for money. And Minister Watt and Tanya Plibersek really were asleep at the wheel in making sure that this was being spent appropriately. And I think this is where governments make decisions to spend money to build these institutions, but if it's not value for money, that's your job as a minister to make sure what's happening as it gets spent.
Pretty strong day with Senate estimates yesterday. Just on another story, the jobs for mates and the recommendations that have been applied there after this report was kept quiet for a while. But I noticed some of your coalition colleagues have also kind of sided with Labor on this, suggesting that not all of those recommendations should be adopted. Where do you sit on that?
Well, I think we're going to work through those recommendations. I think there's some that you can adopt. I mean, I think we talk down much of the experience that some politicians have when they leave.
So they shouldn't be stopped from getting jobs beyond their
Well, if they can serve, we don't have pensions anymore. I mean, and so I think you've got to understand people that leave politics they need a job, but I don't think it should be a job at any cost. I think there are politicians that have made great contributions as ambassadors or in other institutions that they have experience because they've been exposed to it. So I don't think we should close our mind, but we've got to have the balance right. We've got to have transparency about this. And I don't think it's something that we should just draw a line under and say, well, that's the end, because ultimately you take away people's right to earn a living.
No, that's true.
It's an opportunity, but you won't get any good people in Parliament.
Absolutely, yeah, you do have to work. A good point about the pensions. National accounts later on today. Have you got an expectation on that?
Well, we're going broke because they keep spending your money, and ultimately he's starting to run out of your money, Jim Chalmers. And what he's trying to do is find new ways to tax you. He had a go at unrealised capital gains on superannuation. I suspect that when we see MyEFO, they'll start to chip away at other things that they can tax more to get more money in. But they've lost control of the chequebook.
What about cuts that might be coming to the public sector?
Well, I mean, how ironic that would be. I mean, we're seeing that in Victoria. They're slashing and burning. I mean, the reality is you actually have to make sure when you spend Australian taxpayers' money, you're spending it wisely, and ultimately you spend as least of it as you possibly can on the services that you do require. The rest, you've got to try and create an environment for the business and the private sector to take the baton up, and they haven't done that. You can still see that government spending is what is keeping this economy afloat. They've outpowered the private sector, and you're going to pay the bill, and you're paying the bill. And then when they've lost control of their energy grid, you're paying more for your energy than what you should be.
On energy, and a final note here, because I had a good chat with Matt Canavan about this yesterday, as the government was well, it didn't really announce anything. It just wants to get the conversation going on AI. But we've seen all of this overseas where nuclear is really going to be needed to drive AI data centres, because nothing else will to that effect. So, I mean, does that open the door here for more of a conversation here about nuclear and AI going forward?
Oh, look, and I think the Nationals have led this debate. We got it into the agenda on the coalition policy. It will happen in Australia. It has to happen. You can't have artificial intelligence data centres. We will be left behind. Not just about smelters and keeping heavy industry going. We won't have new industries. And that's why Anthony Albanese is going to have to bite the bullet and admit he was wrong. And let's get on with the job. Take the moratorium away. And if he takes the moratorium away and it's too expensive, we'll let the market decide. I challenge him to do that. But the reality is we will need nuclear energy into the future. The rest of the world's doing it. We should do it as well.
Nationals leader David Littleproud, good to have you here in the studio.
Yeah, very flash.
We'll see you again soon.